check my Discord robot thinks we're live. Sweet. I guess we're live. It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too.
How's your weekend?
It's been a little while. It was good. What did we do? I got leave to play games, so I went to the shop. Went to the LGS and played cards. And then the kid's cousin's baptism was on Sunday.
Kid's cousin's baptism.
So I polished off my Sunday best.
I thought you were going to say polished off a liter of whiskey.
Went to church. Teetotaling.
Yes.
Yeah.
You went to church?
Nope.
Does that happen often?
No. How about you?
Rarely, if ever. Though I live on holy ground, so you don't have to worry about that.
How about your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was good. I am waiting to get sick because I did go to a child's birthday party celebration. And anytime you mix the cauldron of small children in their various schools they go to, picking up different things, sometimes get a little head cold sometime the next week, but I feel fine today. Normally it's like the next day something happens, so maybe it was a clean shuffle, so to speak. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty good.
You escaped unscathed.
Yeah, I worked on some gluing some terrain together.
I saw that.
I think tonight I might be able to prime it, which would be good. We'll see.
Nice.
I'm hopeful. And yeah, all in all, it's a pretty solid weekend of just hanging out, driving children to places, keeping it real. So, here we go. The title of this stream allegedly is Road to Early Access. We just put a private Steam build out very recently. It's got Chivos in it, major new feature, and now we really have to figure out what the hey we're gonna do when we think we're done enough to say, hey, let's flip the early access switch. And it's funny because not unlike mobile development, which is very live ops oriented, it's like we don't have, well, that's point A. Point B is we don't have a big, marketing push behind this. So it's literally going to be like flipping a switch off on some other person's server somewhere. But it's a big deal. Like how complete is the experience playing when the person gets it in early access? So we got a lot to decide because there's a lot of things we want to do, but it's not like we're going to stop working. Chivos is great, says Badger. Yes, some aren't possible yet. Very true. I haven't pushed this build yet, Badger, but I did square up on that Balboa Chivo. It no longer has the duck statue you can't get in it. I might actually just do a push later today, an interim push. Maybe not. But it will in the future unlock the biggest level we have, which right now is completely empty. But I would like to have that level playable and good by the time we go to early access. I feel like getting through the tutorial, having 2 levels to choose from, each of which is kind of conducive to unlocking another level and some of the earlier Chivos, and then having subsequent couple levels that are like, all right, these ones are tough, but for whatever reason they are more conducive to unlocking deeper Chivos. It's a pretty good starting point. And then from there, we just keep making the game until we feel like it's done enough, and then we say it's in complete release. I should probably open the same file you are in. I should clean my glasses off too.
I was going to say, excuse me for a second while I clean my glasses.
Yeah. I highly recommend, and we don't have an ad contract or anything. But this big old honking box of wipes, which I'm almost done with, though it's felt like I've been almost done with it for ages. Um, they're the best glasses wipes I've ever used. They don't leave any streaks. They cut through enough stuff. They're pretty solid.
Nice.
My other glasses routine, as long as we're talking about mundane, super mundane stuff.
We're just easing into these decisions with gravity.
Yes.
With a bunch of mundane things.
With clear vision.
Driving kids around.
Yeah.
Glasses. Yeah, no, clear vision is important.
I have a sonic cleaner that I use for a mouth guard. B, I throw my glasses in there.
Nice.
A lot of times keeping your glasses clean is tough because you've got a certain amount of oils and stuff just in the seams between like the lenses and the frames, the little nose things. So like you wipe your glasses and you're like, oh, those don't look clean. If you give them a deep clean, you're in much better shape.
Yeah, so how do you want to get into this? We have some amount of incomplete work on this sort of roadmap.
Yeah.
Phase 4, which is sort of like all the stuff we thought we might want to do for Chivos. These things are unresolved. These things were purposely backburnered, as well as maybe these things. And then we also have like, I love how this is called early access roadmap, but really this is just polished stuff.
Yeah, all the things.
I'm gonna just rename that to polished stuff.
Interrupting here a little bit, Badger. Bucket list on paper looks possible unless there is some place that I shimmied things. But you should be able to make table wine. Should be able to make sauerkraut.
I bought electrical components, I think, on the map that I was making radios. I know I've made a radio recently.
I wonder if sauerkraut's a problem. I can look that up a little later. I can look at we can do a little deep dive at the end of like, where are threads missing?
Yeah, there's like a whole category of work that involves me intensely. And then there's a non-overlapping category of work that involves Z intensely. And that's like,
I take
can
the
I
game
do this
hostage?
Yeah.
With my fat-fingered, sloppy database entries.
It's just a, you know, I wonder if there's, this is an idle thought, and I'm going to discard it after I say it out loud, but I'm going to say it out loud anyways. It would be nice if we had more graphical ways of visualizing the web of stuff, achievement, recipe, item, thing. Like, you have to kind of figure out whether a given item is achievable or craftable, or whether a Chivo is even possible by just kind of muddling through it. But it technically should be, that should be a question we can just answer with a good data query, right?
It's true, and like
complicated data query, but a data query.
Well, so part of it is that, you know, some of this is very much by design a little bit fuzzy. Like, the thing we could answer is not necessarily 100% could you get this achievement. It would be, is there a way I can have all the stuff just from this level? That we could do. And so, like,
yeah. I mean, I'm even thinking more just generically, like, right, given this data set,
what items appear here?
Yeah.
Went to a place, created the loom and everything, brought that in a bucket to where the salt was. Still don't see the possibility. Interesting. Well, we know that there's a map on which Karen, I think it's Karen. Wow, Karen's locked. You can get cheesecloth for purchase somewheres. Whether or not the loom does it, I'll look that up now. But in the background, we will. I'll return to all of these. So how do we want to actually? Maybe we should hold off on this prio stuff for a bit. How about I do
Okay.
some looking up stuff? Do you want to talk at all about
Looking up.
camera?
I have a little side project. Sure, I'll do a quick overview of this was feedback. This came out of feedback that we received a long time ago, kind of even like before the Cruft Discord had 3 people on it, and it was a request to be able to move the camera with the middle mouse button, which I think is kind of natural in a lot of 2D program, like I think Photoshop, I think Miro, a lot of stuff lets you pan your view around, move your view around with the middle mouse. So I had a sort of like a side quest to make that happen. So more camera code time. Hey, let's sort these. That's better. So in my camera controller code, I have it's actually a pretty simple mono behavior. So that's like Unity's component system. You can put this script on an object and it'll behave in a certain way. And it starts up, grabs the bits it needs to operate. It has a little bit of a callback function, an event handler for when you change the location, because the camera needs to do some things based on the size of the new location. If it's a really small location, I can't let the camera go too far. And then in the update function is where all this it's like math time here. And I think maybe like the upshot of this whole task was like the dangers of using Copilot to help you write code. Because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do some math to get this to work the way I want. Like maybe Copilot will just like spit out the thing that works for me. And it sort of did, but it had a bug that was really disorienting. It actually made me physically ill to try and fix it because the camera would. Okay, I'll back up a little bit. So I got it to the point where I could press the middle mouse and I would remember where you had pressed the middle mouse. That is in this code, the middle click origin. So I'm caching like, where's the camera when I start the middle mouse drag? Where's the mouse? Because I really only care about its relative movement since I pressed it down. So I cache those things off on the frame where you press the button down. And then on future frames, if you're still holding the mouse down, I do this calculation of, okay, how far are you from the origin point of the first click? That's the amount we have to offset the camera's target. And I got it working on my own, but it was not scaled properly. So moving the mouse a lot would only move the camera a little, or vice versa. And then like I could try scaling it by a certain value, and that would change how slidey it felt, but it never really like matched up perfectly. So I was like, all right, Copilot, help me do the math. And it did. It worked for the problem I was trying to solve, which was if I move the mouse 1 world unit, then the camera pans 1 world unit. And part of the problem is because when you get your mouse position from Unity's old input system, which is what I'm using here, whenever you see this like capital I input, that's Unity's original input system. And
have those ever been good for us?
What?
Or Unity's original input system?
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, it's the one I'm most familiar with because it's the one, it's the one we used back in the day when we first started getting into Unity, and our esteemed coworker taught us about lerp and slurp and fun stuff like that. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, it's fine. The problem with the old input system is that it doesn't abstract away your pointing device. So if I'm on a phone, I have a touch input, and if I'm on a PC, I have a mouse input. So this system doesn't differentiate between those things, and that's fine because Cruft is only on PC right now. Anyway, so that notion of mouse position is in pixel space. So if my window is 1024 by 768, then I get back a number somewhere in that range. But when you run the game, Craft is kind of a scaling.
Yeah. You don't know what space it's going to be.
And I can zoom, right? I can zoom in. Now there are actually each of these squares is one like world unit. So right now my camera can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 world units tall. But if I zoom way out, now it's a different number of world units. So part of the math question was like getting the amount that I'm offsetting the camera by to kind of match up with my current view. So we ended up getting there. Here we are getting the distance you've moved the mouse. And then here we're scaling that by a very specific set of parameters. One of them is orthographic size of the camera. So going back to this, there are two types of cameras in Unity's world. There's perspective cameras, which are the way that we perceive the world in 3 dimensions. And then, and so there's perspective scaling and parallaxing as you move side to side. And there's orthographic cameras, which are what most 2D games, what Cruft is using, because it is a unscaled perspective of the game. No matter how I move the camera around, things don't appear to move at different rates based on their distance from you. There's really just no concept of distance in an orthographic camera. And the orthographic camera size is how many world units from the center of my viewpoint are there. So right now, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-ish units. Again, we're measuring from the center of the view to the edge to the top or bottom. That's what orthographic size means. So anyways, we take that, we say, okay, this is how many world units I can see. And I remember how I said it's from the middle to the top or bottom. So I multiplied by 2 to get the whole span of what the camera can see top to bottom, and then divided by screen dot height, which is the pixel height of the window. So that gets me an appropriately scaled value that will allow me to move the camera in a one-to-one kind of way with the mouse.
Which you can imagine is pretty nauseating when that scale was changing inappropriately while you were zooming. Like the fact that it's like pixels and zoom and all that working at the same time definitely sounds like good times.
Yeah, the actual origin of my bug and why this took me a little while to chase down and get to the point where it was working the way I wanted it was that I was getting input.mouse position, and instead of just kind of using it raw, I was pumping it through a commonly used Unity function called screen to world space. I was trying to get my mouse position in terms of world space so that it would be, in my mind, easier to move the camera in a one-to-one way. I was like, okay, I'll convert the mouse position to world space. The camera's already in world space. Now I can manipulate them in a more sensible way. But what that actually did was as soon as I moved the camera, it changed what the input mouse position was in world space. So it would rapidly oscillate back and forth. And that was incredibly nauseating. So once I kind of realized what I actually needed to do, instead of just like hoping Copilot would figure it out, I was able to fix it. And I think this led to a kind of a realization that other people are having as they're using Copilot to help them navigate coding problems, where going through the process of thinking it through yourself equips you much better to deal with those kinds of things. When I asked Copilot to write this code for me, I didn't go through any of that thought process, so I wasn't equipped to deal with the bugs that it produced.
It is an interesting twist of like either Copilot either Copilot handles takeoff, flight, and landing, and you sit there, sipping tea and taking a nap.
Yeah, right.
Or
you go, here you go. Yeah. Can't support this code. That's the problem, right? You can't support the code because you didn't go through the work of understanding it.
Sweet.
Or I didn't go through the work of understanding it in that moment. Yeah. So, anyways, now it might be hard to gather that that's what's happening now, but I'm holding the middle mouse down and I can move the camera. Because we're using our PD controller to kind of smooth out the motion, it doesn't snap right to the mouse. It smoothly arrives at the offset that the mouse is using. We could continue to play with this, but functionally, this is good enough for me for now.
It's non-violent moving around. I thought it felt really good. It's funny because I was running into issues with losing my keyboard pretty regularly. I finally figured it out. It's the SteelSeries drivers, like freaking out constantly. So I shut them down.
It's always a driver thing.
But I know. But like,
oh, breakpoint.
I wasn't. This was actually this morning. I wasn't able to WASD consistently, and I was like, oh wait a second, I have this middle mouse button. Let's rock.
Yeah, let's rock.
Just driving around, having a good old time.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a little bit more like WASD is a very like first person shootery, like hardcore gaming convention, whereas letting you use the mouse for everything is a bit more casual.
A bit more cash.
Meanwhile, Badger found a fun bug that really locked up the game. I remember last stream we were like, oh yeah, the game doesn't crash. And I looked at the video you posted, and it didn't look like the game was crashing in that video. It looked like it was a lockup. We try to be very specific when we say like the game crashes versus the game is a soft lock or a hard lock. For me, it was actually a hard lock followed by a crash, so that was pretty good.
Nice, a twofer.
Yeah, no, actual crash because it was overflowing the stack. What was happening was Badger was trying to move a pig out of his van into his yard, but his yard didn't have enough room for the pig. And critically, his van was also full. The way I'm moving objects around, I don't ever fully remove them from their old location until I know I can move them somewhere else. So that original set of squares that the pig was sitting at were occupied when the yard says, I'm overflowing. You can't fit me here. And so when something overflows from the yard, we try to put it in the van. So you can imagine how the loop now has occurred, because I go, oh, sorry, can't put it in the yard. Put it in the van. And the van goes, well, no, there's a pig here and a bunch of other stuff. There's no room. I'm overflowing. What is the containing location of the van? Oh, it's the yard. Okay, let me go check to see if there's room in the yard. No, there's not room in the yard. Let's go. And so now you have an overflown stack, meaning as this function goes from frame to frame, it's quickly going to surpass the amount of memory that any computer would be able to devote to your program, and then the game crashes because you can't access memory outside of that allocated world.
Wicked.
So that was fun, and the fix was easy.
Which is also good.
Controller. Yeah, this was a case of kind of crufty.
Mic drop.
Yeah, kind of crufty coding. We have two different functions that handle overflowing. Handle overflow from a location to another. One of which was saying allow van overflow false, and the other one was not passing that value. So now both functions prevent you from overflowing into the van. The one that was working properly was the one that handles batch movement. I have two different paths for that because batch movement helps with a bunch of perf things. If you just handle magneting 10, 20 items from one place to another, and then process each one individually, you incur a bunch of overhead doing it that way. So instead, we try and batch wherever the magnet is involved. So the magnet would work properly, but single items like just grabbing a pig and dragging it would not, because it didn't have that little bool tripped that would prevent you from overflowing items into the van.
Sweet. I think
always fun.
Yeah. I mean, we say it time and time again, but like this is why you need multiple people to play it, because you make your own patterns of play, and there are just certain things you won't run into because every person's, for lack of a better term, a special snowflake. I certainly am, and like like I always start doing carpentry stuff, almost always, unless I legitimately go like, don't do carpentry self this time. So like
Yeah.
finding a lot of those situations, it's not that it was a needle in a haystack, is that like I pretty regularly just either have a trash can, so I'm not full on one side, not really trying to do that, but it's like a very doable situation. You have another comment. Wasn't certain, but I think the trash can might not remove cruft from the van, even if it counts towards the 75 needed. That would be an interesting doozy.
You think the 75 needed? Oh,
Will
for the
recipes draw from
recipe
the
too.
van?
They should.
There's a reason to make the
We
van
can
kind of
we can
sanctified.
probably test this if we do something like put my dough in the van.
Yeah, put your dough in the van, Will.
I was trying to create the
I mean, you could just right click and see if you can make a flatbread or a pizza.
yeah. So I can make a pizza. I'm pretty sure my only dough is in the van. Okay, and now if I craft this pizza, the dough should be removed, right?
Building too much suspense for me. It is
Okay, the
removed.
dough is gone. Maybe it's fine. I'm not saying I'm not convinced there isn't a bug, but I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, Joe's comment about perf. One of the kind of like
Oh yeah.
it's one of the reductive sayings about coding in general is don't optimize too early. Because usually what you do when you optimize your code is you make it harder to understand and harder to maintain. So
You also don't know yet
that
where.
alternate code path for moving batch items was a duplicate code path, and it's harder to maintain duplicated code, as we saw, because my one code path was pretty well worn and bug tight, but the other one wasn't.
You also don't know enough where you need to do the most optimization until the game is firing on most cylinders. Like there are a lot of presumptions we made, and a lot of ones actually, we're like, well, we're not going to worry about this until we do X, Y, and Z. And like right now, I'm making a much larger level, so we need people to play larger levels to see what exactly does need to get optimized when you have, whatever it is, 3,600 tiles to play with um, instead of 1,600.
Yeah, op- the big thing when it comes to perf is to measure before you worry about it, which is kind of what you're saying, right? Like we don't really know if it's not broke, don't fix it, and if it's not causing you performance problems, don't try to optimize it unless it really costs you nothing.
And this game is very intentionally like low overhead in a lot of ways. I mean,
So we got
the graphics are very simple, so that there isn't really that much you ever need to optimize all that much until you start getting into weird, many instances of shaders running. It doesn't need to be batched and whatever. But like for the most part, there's not a heck of a lot going on here. This is not getting graphics game of the year, um, but it does have a lot of stuff in it. But nicely, you sort of look at it and go, if this was the inventory system for an RPG, like my inventory would probably at most be like, I don't know, 10 by 8. And like anything that we end up optimizing in this and the tail end of it should easily apply and be fine for something much smaller.
Curious what I'm just poking around in the profiler since we're talking about performance and seeing if there's any new surprises in here. Normally, you'd have an idea of some section of the code or some use case that you want to like investigate the performance of. But right now, like if you look at our script performance, we're doing pretty good. We get 1 millisecond per frame of code running. That's tiny. When I used the magnet to move 10 pieces of wheat, we got a little bit of a little bit of a spike there. We went from taking 1 millisecond to 10 milliseconds. Thankfully, that's still 100 FPS,
And frankly,
which is well past our target, so we're good.
which is also good because it's mathematically sound. Not that this has anything to do with why it's 10 milliseconds, but you are picking up 10 items, right? See, it all works. I found it out. Guarantee you that it's not 1-to-1 at all. That picking
let's
up
see
an
here.
object costs a millisecond.
Let's have some fun. Let's pick up 5 items. Nope, I got 6. 6 items. Move them. Oh my God, Zimity.
I can't read that from here.
7.39 ms.
Oh,
pretty close.
Snap.
Pretty close. Yeah, it's scaled pretty close to what you're saying. And a millisecond per item. There must have been some garbage collection overhead in that one.
Joe says it feels like either stuff shouldn't get yanked out of the van or the van should flash to let you know it has changed. Feels like things silently changed. We are going to have to solve not only for the van, but you can build shelves and drag stuff into shelves, and they count, and that is a very active profile and creates an overhead itself. Also very true.
For sure.
That is something we are going to table for now, and see how deep we get into location-based stuff.
We have a couple cases where we handle this. I think I know what I want the game to do in cases where you have overflow, and we have it implemented in some spots, but we kind of just need a cleanup pass where we go through everything and make sure it all behaves consistently. I'm trying to repro it now. Let's see if this will work. Nope. Okay, go back.
Get wrecked.
That's a fun getting. Yeah, I know.
It's a good puzzle.
This is fun for me.
Whatever works.
Okay.
Yeah.
That time it bounced back. The other thing that's supposed to happen is you're supposed to hear that little pop. It'll let you know that something was ejected from some other item.
I don't believe farm to table.
Yeah, you get the same thing here. I guess the little pop is similar to what you're saying with like flashing the van to kind of just indicate the source of the problem, right?
Yeah, like some indicator so it's not completely invisible. Probably good. I thought I added a press.
Oh, hey, that's a little funny. Check that out.
I don't think I did to farm to table, and I don't think I'm gonna. I think you got to bring a food press to farm to table, which is, I don't know, perhaps not the best.
Do you expect the deeds icon to draw behind the item I'm dragging?
I expect it to for a long time, given the fact that it's going to be prioritized down to the floor. To change it.
You expect us not to care about fixing this very soon? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Joe. Like you want to have some indication that something came from somewhere to get consumed if you can't see it in front of you. Like someone looted the van and you have no ore shelf.
Yeah. I see now. That's a totally different scenario than I was thinking. Honestly, like I would want the item to pop out of the van and then beeline into the station so that so you see it all, right? Like most of the time when you craft something, all the items are right there nearby, and they all move into the station. It wouldn't be impossible to spawn the item after determining that I had to grab it from the van. Every item knows what item contains it. Sorry, every item knows what location contains it. Every location knows sort of its position in the graph of connected nodes, connected locations. So we could have, in the case that we saw on screen where I crafted a pizza using dough that was in the van, I would be able to spawn the dough sprite on the van and then move it into the brick oven.
I think when we get down to prioritization, there are going to be a few things like that that do actually make it up. Like, I would really like when you show up to a new level, having the van pull up and barf the stuff out. Right now, stuff is just there. And while a lot of what I'll try to do is get like, you'll hear this a lot from me if you work with me. Like, while you're in there, can you X, Y, and Z? Which is like,
and I like that because while I'm in there, I'm loading the whole, the way that system works into my brain,
into the Votan,
and so it's easier to like stay in similar areas of the code and make a couple different fixes while you're in there than it is to be like, oh right, remember how Chivos work, fix this thing in Chivos. Okay, now remember how tutorials work. Okay, do this one little thing in tutorials, and then go back to Chivos. Like, that's inefficient.
Thrashing.
Yeah.
Thrashing your memory.
Yep.
And of course, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes it's like, no, that's not actually any easier based on how it works. But in a lot of cases, going into there's two things at work here. One is that I'd rather have Will take the van offline or be like, hey, I'm going to be working on the van. Can you not mess with it for like, this half of the day? Go in there and do 3 things, check it in, and then not be messing with the van for a while. Than him working for 20 minutes on the van, then 20 minutes on Chivos, then 20 minutes on this other thing, so that as teammates, there's just far less passing of the ball and like, please don't mess with this thing while I'm messing with it. It just works out better if you can send someone somewhere for a few tasks. Don't go to the grocery store to buy milk, then go home, then send your significant other to the grocery store right when they get home to buy bread. Then when they get home, like, make a shopping list when you're going somewhere. It's one of the things like it like irrationally bothers me when I have a whiteboard with like grocery list of things we need, and one of them is just like standard grocery store stuff. Some of it is like big box store. Next time you either put in an order or go. And when I go and then I come back and I find out we needed something, I'm like, it's totally like, of course, like, there's never been the expectation that was like an exhaustive list of everything we could have possibly bought that one moment that we need. But the timing of coming back and finding out that it's not done, which is like, truth be told, there are times that I go there and I come home and I can only erase like 80% of what was on that list because they didn't have something. Which is like similar output of just like, well, we didn't get it. But yeah, if you're going on a mission into zombie territory, pack the van up with everything you need, or if you're going to the grocery store, try to go once. Per Joe, it also feels better and is more noticeable when one system moves a significant amount forward and better, even if it's lower on the priority list, than instead of half a dozen changes in disconnected spots. That is very true. That was proved in our last build. There was a lot of moments where I was like, we could push this, but we were close on a lot of things in Chivos that we could have done a few days later, released a few days earlier, but like having a sense of like knocking off enough things in it so that when someone plays it, it doesn't have every like loose end on it. It worked out. Like, if we had pushed this to a Steam build, there would have just been a much larger list of known issues earlier. We would have been like, yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, we're working on that. And like where we pushed it was like, yeah, there's some loose ends on it, but Chivos do Chivo. And those,
do you want to start talking about what Chivos don't do still?
Hmm. I think we do, and I think I'm going to bring up the prio list. A roadmap.
All right.
Screen squared up here.
So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, just because I don't know that we need this anymore. This is the main thing that I wanted to reevaluate, was these pop-ups. So right now, when you open up the Chivos app, you get this list of all the Chivos. You see in icon form a good deal of information. You see the items you need to have to unlock the Chivo. There are icons that correspond in a curated way to the rewards you're going to get. And originally the design said, like, okay, tap one of these pills and you get a pop-up with a lot more information. You get the name, you get um, a design curated description, and then a bunch of different kind of icon treatments of what you're getting, and maybe even detailed information about that thing you're getting, like in the case of a recipe. Is this something we're still interested in?
I don't think so. I think right now we have the Chivo icon and its name. We have the shopping list of what you need to do to get it.
Yeah.
And the rewards, which at least on mouse over of them, like it has an icon that's kind of indicates what it's going to be, and it tells you like in text what it's going to be. I think we're good for now. I think eventually this thing. What happens when you mouse over the actual Chivo icon?
Nothing.
That when
But
we get
we could
tooltips.
fix that.
Well, when we figure out what we want as additional information, it'll either be in a tooltip or it'll go in that info panel, and I think it'll be for mousing over that, which will be a sort of texty description and any extras we need to add.
So I'm going to delete these.
Yeah. Undesigned.
Cool. And then I'm going to...
Don't delete from there, though. Yeah, there you go. Good Lord.
A very lazy way of doing this, but here we are. Okay. But we do have a new one, which is mouse over text for main Chivo icon in Chivo app. And what that text is sourced from is the description, the Chivo description, right?
Yes. And if I got proper X's over everything's and I can payload that description from into whatever extra stuff is needed. The nice thing is right now is that the things that are true items in the game goes to their item text. The things that are rewards are very fungible. I just pick an icon and text, and the Chivo icon itself will be very similar. It'll be that icon and then just arbitrary text too. So yeah, there's plenty to work with there.
All right. The next thing that we thought we'd want is when you're on the Chivo app, highlighting the objects that contribute to your current achievements.
Yeah.
We've definitely struggled without this when we are trying to sell off all our stuff in order to bang out that money achievement alongside some other achievement.
I think it has to be a switch in the Chivo app because maybe the switch could just be having it open, but I can't. I'm going to lose that highlight. I'm going to lose the highlight whenever I go to click something. because the Chivo app will close.
Yeah.
I think.
So you want like a checkbox kind of thing?
Yeah. Should it be per Chivo? I care about some when I
That
do.
feels like a lot of checkboxing.
I mean, only. Yeah, they're thinking the same, Joe. I don't know if we're going to get to that right now, but just so that we're not talking abstractly, Joe says if you combo that with the heart favoriting things, then that's what's highlighted. Trying to see if we can get
Yeah,
somewhere in
that
between.
that helps because I don't want to do it for every Chivo. That's just going to be an expensive amount of
Well, I mean,
querying.
it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, if I can elevate that Chivo so that it's up on screen, that's going to require a heart, which is a checkbox or switch on each Chivo. This might not be bad. You put the little heart in on the actual UI container, and if it's clicked on up to a certain amount, then it shows up on my main HUD, the top right corner. And if it's up there, my shit's highlighted. That's not that bad. I mean, it's work. We got to decide if it's before or after. The other thing is a lot of this stuff can absolutely like fast follow.
So I can heart the Chivo. Are we saying that this highlight is like all I always get the highlight if I'm hearting, or is it an additional toggle?
No, I'm saying heart is a toggle that puts it on the screen and highlights them.
Cool.
Should I put a priority
So much
column
neat.
in this table?
Priority column in this table.
Yeah.
Let's not do that yet.
Okay. You want to move stuff out of here.
Yeah, let's move it out of here into the other table that has the priority stuff. Because like now these things compete with other. I feel like it's okay for these things to start competing with other polish work.
When they're in there. Yeah, we'll move them over.
It's not to say that they won't kick the crap out of other random polish work, but
yeah, they'll be in the same Thunderdome. They're in the same league. They're in the Champions League. We won't be tracking two different things.
All right, so this UI work is not that bad, except we have to design the heart overlay. I'm just gonna make a box out here in UI Hellscape for heart overlay.
And that's going to be tiny. Like, we're talking like Facebook,
I love how
LinkedIn.
giant these things are. This text is 288. That's huge.
You can zoom in pretty far.
Yeah, I should probably zoom in more.
All right, A-Sprite. So this should be like, this is going to be tiny. Like, it's not going to get zoomed in practically at all. It's going to be like 16 by 16, but probably a real size.
The pill?
No, the heart.
Oh, okay. You're just like working on the heart right away.
I mean, we're here.
Yeah, it is going to be a tiny little heart.
And you basically just need an empty one and a full one.
How did I cost this? I costed this at a 2. This is pretty similar, so I'm just going to keep that. And then The pill is not that complicated. It's stuff I'm already showing you, which is your
It is literally that entry.
tally of items.
It's that I would grab exactly what is in that Chivo entry on the phone and move that whole so that I can still mouse over anything in there for text.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. The work here will just be folding it into the HUD in a dynamic way.
Yep. This will
Um,
this will be I don't so one other thing to consider, you should cap it at a certain number. Like I think the container will just need to say something like favorites 0 out of 3. When you hit the cap, you cannot add things to it. Don't want people being like, why can't I just grab the whole Chivo app and flop it on my yard? You'll know the exact total height that it needs to be. The exact total is 3. So at least we don't have to worry about it like blurting out. We can go from there.
Is 3 your magic number, or is that just an example and we'll figure it out?
Three's a magic number.
This is bad.
Oh my god, it works now. I finally set up Sprite so that the back end eraser thing on this actually erases. It's a big deal to me.
Okay. Item the next. If I try to market an item that is currently contributing progress toward Chivo, a warning pop-up appears. I'm concerned that this could get disruptive and annoying.
I would only do that if I favorited it.
Yeah.
Favorited it.
That's a more restricted case. When I pack up and leave, I see which Chivos I got. Oh, yeah. I pack up and leave. Cruft and the icons for the Chivos I got fly out of the confetti blaster. Right? We talked about that last time, I think.
Oh hell yeah!
And you were on board. And I do have a to do to get the when I pack up and leave, the confetti uses the gold material, right?
Yeah. I'd also do it on level up.
You don't want the packing up and leave to be extra special compared to level up, which happens 30 times.
I would make it activate for both of them. They may have different shaders, different materials that we throw on there, but considering how easily you ignore the fact that you leveled up, not that we don't have deed stuff coming in terms of throbbins and things like that. I can always turn the material to nothing. That while you're in there, you might as well just make it accept a material, even if we just want to do something a little different with it. Will, these hearts, like UI type mumbo jambo, does that go in images or sprites?
I was say again.
The heart actual images. You want it to go to the images directory or the sprites directory? I would guess images, right? That's where we got the gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have to dynamically access it, so it should be in resources / whatever sprites, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was saying images. I'm gonna put it in images. Tough luck.
No, don't put it in images.
Okay.
I need to dynamically access it, so it needs to be in sprites.
All right. Quick question: why does the gear not have to be in sprites?
Because I don't have to dynamically access the gear. I have to dynamically turn on or off the game object that contains the gear. Just a little bit of a. That also means that you can go into Unity and mess with the gear, and it'll look proper. It'll keep your changes. Whereas if I had done the whole thing in code, you'd be SOL.
Be hosed. Nice.
Yeah. No, that definitely happens more often than I like, and it's fun going through this process and be like, oh yeah, hey, maybe the programmer way isn't the best. Maybe it's good to let other people help.
It's rewinding a bit. If the yard is smaller than the unlocked portion, it refuses to unlock. That's fun. That is something on the list of things we need to prioritize. When I try to unlock a 5x5 space, if I have less than the contents space for it, I believe all it cares about is the contents within. But if the contents within take up 10 spaces and I don't have 10 tiles, it won't pop.
Yeah, don't put so much stuff inside the locked items.
No.
Didn't we talk about this? So
Ooh.
we can't TARDIS ourselves if I have a 5x5. We're talking about locked location features, right? The things that you
locked locations. The catch is it's checking my existing property, not the size of the thing I'm unlocking. So the thing I'm unlocking has 25 spaces in it, 5 of which are filled up with stuff. But I still can't pop it because I don't have 5 outside that locked location in my normal yard.
Ah, I get it now.
You may throw and crash the game if you like, if I ever put too much stuff inside a location. But we've already agreed that I will not do that.
I think there was like a tree plot that did do that.
Yep.
And I put a task in to
Resources, sprites, empty.
I'm trying to find this. I now have to read. So difficult.
You have to read?
I have to read now.
In this economy?
Well, we'll do whatever we end up doing for this. I'm gonna do this alongside it. This baffles me. I swear I put a to-do somewhere for it.
Well, this is why we have this meeting. This is
True.
why we our moment to come to Jesus, find all the stuff we swore we'd do.
I swore I'd do this. Yeah. Okay. Well, now we write it up. So, is this polish stuff? You said you want. You sounded like you were feeling this is a 0. Okay.
You're talking to that specific. Is it a 0? Is it a 0? I think we want to batch think it is. I don't know. I don't know yet. The relativity of it is hard. It sucks. But is it a P0? Is it really?
It's alarming.
It's alarming.
It's not like yeah. It's like it's alarming because I'm gonna have to get into some guts of the code that handles overflow and when a location is full and item placement, which is all it's a relatively large system at this point. So I don't want to punt on it that long. It's going to get harder to fix this bug the longer I wait. That's my argument for making it a P0.
My argument is this absolutely necessary to go into early access? It's a tough call.
I think it's not absolutely necessary, but the benefits are worth it. What's going to happen if we don't fix this bug is people are going to be playing the game and naturally arriving at a state where their yard is full. That is sort of like the core pushback that the game offers you, is filling your yard up with cruft. And one of the main ways you get out of this situation is unlocking more space by spending your deeds. And this is a case where if you are in the thick of the game, you encounter a bug with no feedback and are stuck.
Yep, you're right. All right. Agreed. So be it.
It be.
It's, sometimes you don't think it'd be that way. Sometimes it be. It do. It shouldn't reject the purpose, or purpose.
Yeah,
Purchase.
there's like a nuance, Joe, to the whole thing. It's, you will have enough space for the items that'll be added to your yard when you unlock this location. But the way it's implemented right now is it's checking to see if you have enough space before reclaiming the space that the locked feature affords you.
Yeah.
If I didn't
You have
stumble over words too hard.
have a 5x5 plot that you are unlocking. So that's 25 squares. Yep. And within it, there's 5 squares worth of free stuff for you to get. And it's going, well, do you have 5 squares in your yard right now? When really, you're going to net gain 20 squares. Yeah. Yeah. And this is something that, like, I'm totally cool with the build failing because I've already committed to, like, what is inside one of these things is same or smaller as what it is. So we can do this.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that was the other thing I was looking for. I don't know why I chose to delete 12 words instead of type 4, but here we are. Data builder needs to fail
miserably.
If a locked location feature contains more items than it can fit. Do you want to prioritize that? Previously, stuff like this has been a 3, just because you know what's up.
I'm trying to find exactly where we are again. Data builder needs to fail if locked location feature contains more items than it can fit. I would change that to not day 0.
Would you change guard that if a hammer, is this even valid still, since we're over here looking at it? The hammer one, guard that if a hammer is input, it must have 100% output.
I think we still want to keep that, but it's a not day 0.
Yeah.
And like, if I pay for that sin painfully, like, okay.
Yeah. This is the fix it with blood choice,
Yeah.
which sometimes is a defensible choice.
Fix it with blood.
Pay the iron price. All right. Cool. We're slowly getting stuff sorted.
The hearts are in, by the way.
Yay. Did you check in the meta file with it?
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay. These. Talked about all those. Unlocking achievement will trigger the associated Steam achievement. That is a good point. Past us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't think that's day 0.
Really?
I think maybe. They're not even well balanced yet. People don't add achievements to games for quite some time.
Okay. Says we're planning to do this kind of like resolve unawarded achievements logic. I can get behind that.
Do we need to do any sort of if I change an achievement or Chivo, not a Steam achievement. If I change a Chivo, does it look at the current state of the Chivo requirements and decide whether or not you have it, or do you get a stamp? Going,
you mean like while I'm playing?
So you have a save game.
Or do you mean like
you have a save game?
I have already accomplished this achievement in a previous game.
You have a save game. I'm going to explain it in like discreetly. You have achieved the Balboa achievement in a save game.
Yeah.
I go in, I update data to add a requirement to that achievement. You get an update. You fire up the game. What's up with the Balboa achievement at that point?
You still have the Balboa achievement.
Okay. And the associated rewards. So these are entitlements. Like, I'm giving you the thing. In the UI, does it now show that Balboa is incomplete?
No. There is a list of Chivo IDs in your save data that represents all the Chivos you've unlocked in previous games.
All right. So then
and
I leave.
When you leave, I add the Chivos you accomplished to that list.
So
and
I
then
leave.
When I look to see if the Chivo is completed, I just verify whether its name is in that list.
So I leave that yard. I go to a new yard. Does it have the old Chivo listed or the new Chivo listed? Like, does it get a new ID because I altered it?
No, the Chivo, you altered the requirements, so the requirements will look correct in anywhere that the UI anywhere that the UI shows those requirements to you. But because you completed it in the past under a different set of requirements, it is still complete.
We might need an absolute complete state for those Chivos when they're like shuffled either to the bottom or a different screen that doesn't even care about the requirements anymore at some point.
We have that. That's what I'm saying. We have. That's what it does.
Oh, it pulls the Rex off when it's complete.
The Rex no longer matter once it's complete. It's just complete.
Right.
I don't remember which requirements you satisfied to complete it, but I remember that you completed it.
Right. You remember. What do we show the player?
Right
now we hide it. Right.
Right now we show you nothing.
Right. And so what I'm saying is when we have a separate thing to show all of your achievements that you've ever gotten, right now we're hiding it. Yeah. When we show you what you've gotten, we shouldn't show anything about requirements in it.
Okay.
We shouldn't pull this UI over whole. We should just get the achievement and the rewards.
Yeah, I guess I don't hate that compromise. I'm gonna want to see what I got from the achievements. I
Right.
don't necessarily care what I had to do to get them anymore. Maybe like some icons to remind me,
What I'm saying though is that to
but
remind you is we're going to be if the deal gets altered, then what I'm going to be showing you isn't what you got to achieve it. It's what Zamidi thinks you should have gotten later in your life if you ever did it. It's just going to be a mess.
yeah. All right.
Pray I don't alter it further, Will.
Pray I don't. Yeah, I know the Darth Vader. What if you alter the rewards?
Yeah. That's altering the rewards, kind of a doozy. And I think I just did that. TBH. I think I altered the rewards on, let's see, was it Balboa? I just, yeah, I just added wide open spaces as a level as a reward to Balboa. Now you couldn't get Balboa before, so I'm safe in this case for our user base of handful of people. Um, and I hopefully have made it possible to get Balboa now. But hmm, that is actually where the top of this discussion thread was going. Is like, do we? Because we were talking about the I have to check if I'm valid for Steam achievements. We may need to in that same check go like, do I owe you some rewards? That sucks. It,
That's actually not that bad because I similar to the list of all um, accomplished Chivos, I also have a list of all granted unlocks. Some of them might get weird,
but there was another list. They were
like
deceived.
if you give me plus cash money on start, that might be a little bit harder to unwind. But unlocking Karen, giving me access to ebon tree recipes, like those things, those can be revalidated. So
Sweet.
that's solvable. And I think that there should probably just be not maybe stopping just shy of like full blown versioning, similar to how we said like, look, you can't change the internal ID name of a row in data, right? You change that, you change that internal ID name, you now have effectively deleted something from data that someone might have
Mm-hmm.
and added something new. I think similarly, if you want to add a reward to something, ideally it goes on a new Chivo.
All right.
And if you, what do we do if you want to remove a reward from something?
That's. I'd better
I
get
think
those
we,
right.
I think we do nothing if you remove a reward from a Chivo. I already have the Chivo. I already have the reward.
I think it's water under the bridge at that
And
point.
good for me.
Yep.
Yeah,
What I do
that's
is
your bad.
I I make I make more stuff that you don't have, and
Yeah,
then I sprinkle that in front of your face. I'll be back in just 1 second.
yeah, he beat me to it. I was gonna claim BRB. Okay, wait. There are some new tasks.
Wicked.
All right. I also have to BRB.
Yeah, go for it.
BRB.
I can do shenanigans in the meantime. Shenanigans. It's a heart. Empty, full, empty, full, empty, full. It's got a heartbeat. It's my song and dance. I think you want to be able to handle the additional removing of one-shot unlock style rewards, since even though you're launched, early access is really just more about development. You're going to want to keep people same spot. Yeah, no, I feel you. I think in the vast majority of cases, I would do exactly that. I think in this case we can just kind of eat it. I'm pretty careful about what's in Chivos, and especially now that like we've had this discussion, modifying stuff around willy nilly. I very intentionally put the new level attached to the exact Chivo that was proven to be impossible. I don't think I would even fly that loose in the future, but like I was already thinking in those terms. Um, I think we need to operate as if we're not in early access, as if this thing's real, and when we give you something, it's like it's a big deal. We've got to triple check it, um, be right about it, because eventually all of these get Steam achievements attached to them. We can't take those back healthily either. Um, I think this is one of those cases where I believe you are right and also not going to do it. By the end of in the next hour and a half, the amount of painfully cut not before early access things is going to be deep. Maybe I'm just mentally preparing myself for that. Um, we'll see. Yeah, it's we got to keep ourselves in a spot, especially with Cruft, where like we are we are rolling, and frankly, like we are for a variety of like good reasons. Not all just like game dev is hard. Like we are behind where we could be, and like one part of the thesis of this is that like you can get something out there and you can work through early access as many people do, and you really I say you. I really don't want to hoard this game and turn it into like confuse it with hobby work. Like Cruft is not going to change the universe. Certainly not day one. Our early access is soft. We have no marketing. The people we're going to get playing Cruft day one are people like or downloading it, buying it day one, are people like my mother and my dear friends that I've worked with in the past. Many of those dear friends worked with or not already have keys, so they're like off the board. It's gonna be a little dirty. It's gonna be a little crufty. But I want to make sure that we're like going through those gates as lean and mean as makes sense for the audience. And I think with the presentation of Cruft, another thing I got to go over is I got to redo or a bunch of store assets now as we go into early access, build new store assets. Like, oh, now in early access. It's another topic, but I think if someone looks at this game on the store, sees the screenshots, which are screenshots of things that are absolutely current, including the like pick a new level, um, solid green background. Um, hopefully, we're getting people that like can handle something as as novel, but also not AAA early on, and then we could just like knock off a bunch of these things over time. I'm gonna give you the screen back, Will. Put the heart up for a while. Proud of my work. So now we go through the potentially, well, as we get through the stuff here. Dude, there's gonna be so much stuff which gets listed as not for day zero. It may find it may find its way into a prioritized list. Yep, also true. Yeah, it also, I mean, it has, there are ramifications in terms of like the readability, what we show the player, can we take stuff back, all that jazz. So we have this concept of any new thing we add, we save your state in the level with the crap you had when you got there. For the most part, there are some things that can be changed midstream, like I think like what shops carry and stuff like that. Um, but like if I'm making stuff in my yard, if I change the cash money value of a stove, and then we update the game, and you go back into that save file, that stove has its old price, right? Right. Yeah. And so yeah. Now what that gains us? Um, oh, I still see a heart and no will and can't see sugar. Thanks, man.
Did I
Oops.
not
No,
unmute?
no, 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 no. It's not you, Will. It's
Oh,
you,
okay.
yeah, don't you worry about that. I clicked the wrong thing. There you go. Say something, Will.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Sorry, that was me, producer, screwing that up. So what we get out of having things be persistent in saves, like a stove, if it used to cost 5 cash money, we update the data in your save, it's still 5 cash money there. Is that if we add new things to the game, like whole systems, if I add housing to the game, I keep saying housing, maybe I just really want to do it. Or let's just say
We do really. I actually think your subconscious mind is spot on about the game needing housing.
yeah. Let's say decorations for now. The way to introduce that would be to have a new level with new associated chivos that open up the possibility for doing housing anywhere, but you would have to leave a yard, go do this new thing, and then subsequent playthroughs you'd be on new saves. We sort of take that forward. So there is some benefit, not accidentally, to doing things that way.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a rogue move as far as like engineering stuff goes, because normally you don't want to depend on concrete things. You want to have references, and then that allows us to update them in place. And there may come a day where I'm like, God, I wish I hadn't done it this way, and I'm gonna undo all that. But
I don't know if you'll be able to.
we'll see.
Like the benefits of doing it this way
True.
are not accidental. Like
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know that it's not. I know that it's not an accident that we ended up here, but it's one of those things that I'm going to look back on and be like, was that good or not? That's an important lesson.
Yeah, true that. All right, what are we on? I gotta move
We
this.
are on.
That's what happens when I
I'm
move
on
OBS
I'm
to
on
the
a
wrong
spreadsheet
screen.
that has a bunch of stuff that we thought we might do, and we've revised a bit of it. We've added some new stuff. We have this chunk that we haven't talked about. We have this chunk that we haven't talked about, and then I want to paste all of this over onto the next sheet.
All right.
And begin the true battle.
All right.
So items can have up to 5 tags. This is in support of a Chivo reward that I don't think we care about anymore, right? That's why all this stuff has been kind of deprioritized already.
I think all of that stuff goes over and is not for day 0.
All of this.
All this mumbo jumbo you're talking about, items can have 5 tags,
As well as achievements data can specify increased crafting output amounts for items with a given tag.
yes.
And when I click increased craft output entry, then the increased craft output achievement details pop up appear. That's probably going away entirely because
So. Yeah.
we don't do the details pop up anymore. Unlocking Achievo may increase crafting output amounts. That is still going to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh no. Not how you do that. Oh. Oh my.
The entire plan got obliterated all at once.
I know.
What's kind of funny about deving this way is
That's not how it goes. There we go.
because you don't have an entire army of people that you're spreading the word to on what you're doing next. I'm not recommending this, but at any given point, we could burn this to the ground, play the game, and be like, what do we want to do today? Like, we could rebuild this.
Yeah, we're nimble.
Be...
We can change course without incurring
any
the
cost.
wrath of all the corporate demons, like
well, and also
shareholder value.
I'm not even talking about. I mean,
stakeholders.
Yeah. How about people that work for you that were working on tasks? We don't have that either. Like, I'm saying in the most benevolent way.
Oh yeah, no,
we're not screwing anyone. Being like, oh, you've been working on Chivos for 2 weeks. It's a submarine simulator now. Like that.
Right.
We don't have to worry about that. Sweet. Do you want to just pull everything over into a chunk and then we can just start prioing and then move them into headings? Well, I guess you already know that those things are not for days.
Yeah, we're kind of yeah. No, let's start doing it. Let's okay. So these just got moved, so they can go away from here, and then these
maybes. Yeah, maybe if we mouse over character portrait, tooltip appears with a greeting text. That's not a maybe anymore. That goes over.
If an available character is locked, the portrait indicates that by an overlaid graphic.
It is done.
This is done.
Yeah, a silhouette.
When I start the game fresh, the top button is enabled and just says play. Oh, these two are related. Yeah. Yep. Those are coming over. Okay. Polish stuff. Put that here. There was something else related to this whole remove the play button thing. Might be a dupe in here.
Don't worry about it yet. Just make sure we've got stuff. Everything is pushed over.
Yeah, these. Here we go. Sorry, I kept worrying about it long enough to finish the task that I was worried about. Sweet. Okay. Do you want to start with the 4 prio list, or do you want to review what's in here? Because this is kind of a little wild. The completed box we don't have to review because that's done stuff.
All right, so everything else, I'm just doing one last check. Everything else here has an actual on it. Please. Did we pull everything over?
From this tab?
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Oh yeah, right you are.
The main Chivo icons display section. I think that block didn't make it over.
Yeah. Oh, it's this whole, all this stuff. Pull this over. But somehow I'm failing to use My computer. Hey, stop that.
Oh. I can fix it.
All right, Control X. Control V. There we go. It worked this time.
Spend all day Control X and Control V in code. When you get in a spreadsheet, look at that red.
I'm gonna say something that I know
Rip.
makes some people mad, but I don't press Control X or Control V.
Yeah, I know. Can you hit F11?
I press V, J or K or W, and then Y, and then J or K a bunch of times, and then P.
Hit F11. Thank you. Sweet. All right.
All right, you ready?
I am ready.
Where are we starting?
I think we should move everything. We should prio stuff down below that has none.
Okay.
Then we should move things in their appropriate buckets. Then we should reprio stuff. When we hit reality and we have a better sense of when things are.
I'm going to put not day 0 in my clipboard, and that'll be the default state for all of these.
Yeah.
Is mousing over character portrait to display a tooltip with their greeting text better than not day 0?
Not day 0.
When I start the game, these are related to the removing new game.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a reason why they're not P1s?
That is all one block. I believe the other two are how we would do it.
Yeah. This is like the overarching thing, and this is actually what we do.
Yeah.
So I can actually remove this.
I would drop that down to P2. I may go so far as to say that that's not actually day 0. Not yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Not day 0 is a different binary than how
I don't think it's going to be costly if that changes anything, but I feel you.
Yeah, we have to keep in mind that it's not P3, P2, P1, P0, and then P4 it's a different argument as to whether or not it is necessary to release this game with that thing in mind. I've done Moscow.
This is a tooltip task. All right.
Which one is?
Moscow. I have done. It was a must have, should have, could have, would have. I feel like that's a good precursor to like what we're already like. If we were having a hard time getting to P1, 2, 3, I don't know.
That's like we're in a similar vein right now. What was the thing you were saying? This is a tooltip task.
If I mouse over a character portrait, a tooltip appears with their greeting text.
Yeah, it says TT right next to it.
I just changed it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, what are you talking about? I looked over when you said that. What? No, it is not. 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 It is not a tooltip task. It is not.
It is an info box or tooltip task, depending on what we got.
That is correct.
All right. Main Chivo icon displays Chivo description in the info/tooltip when you mouse over it. We just added this one. I remember this
one. I think that's a deuce.
Why do you think it's a deuce?
Because I don't think that it is as important as, for some reason, the transferred items don't pop into the van.
Sure.
or even like market dump resizes based on the highlight state. Like,
Yeah. No one will be blocked from playing the game if we don't have this. I can hard at you to display your current progress in the HUD while the phone is closed.
I think everything heart related and new HUD is not day zero. I think it'd be extremely helpful. I think it's going to be a very fast follow. I I would not be willing to put off releasing this for a couple days while we get that going and tested and whatever. I just
Okay. Confetti Blaster accepts an optional material when you load and fire it.
I think that's a piece. Like it is not super important,
Yeah, it's
but
yeah. This is
but its impact is
feels
pronounced.
good. It's good feels.
I would argue that the confetti blast that happens in Vampire Survivors is like essential to why the game works. Admittedly, a little bit more of a slot machine thing going on there, but um, let's say not for day zero.
Okay.
This not for day zero also tables us having to prioritize it. That's the first layer that we have to do. Well, no, but it's
Sure.
important because like
Yeah.
what you're saying is I'm going to release this in early access. I'm going to look at it and look at the feedback I get. That is going to inform what the actual priority is later. Like, oh, I really wish like if we over prioritize stuff that we don't need for day zero, we are willfully ignoring people like the army of people that say, "Oh, but I really do need to know more about this character."
The last block here are the Steam integrations for Chivos, which we already said was not day zero.
Correct.
And the following two items are sort of resolving conflicts between those two systems. So
All right.
therefore also not day zero.
Let's go back to the top and decide what things are not day zero and then prioritize what's left. And then when we hit day zero, we grab all the stuff that was not day zero, then we prioritize again. Because we'll have gotten everything done.
Okay, so do you want to you mean you want to go through these and make sure these are all still
correct.
Okay. Unlocking a location feature, dealing with available space properly.
Yeah, that's a zero. That stays.
Yeah. Chivo overview screen. Sort acquired Chivos to the bottom or put them on a separate tab.
Not for day zero.
Yeah, it technically you could you're not blocked. It's annoying that you can't look at what you got, but it's not.
Eyes to the future. Helpful mouse icons. Embellish that statement for me.
Helpful mouse icons is when I mouse over something that I can right click to open, the mouse changes to like a little right clicky mouse icon. When and maybe others was the original vague thought, but that's the concrete one.
I think it is very important. I'm a little worried to try to crack this until we have a better handle on mouse state because we have run into issues in the past where sometimes I don't lose the magnet state or I don't get the Mickey Mouse hand state. I feel like mouse state.
I argue that we get that when we try to do more with mouse icons. I haven't actually messed with them at all, so I don't really know. It's just a new system to me. It looks like it looks like it's a property of the UI style properties.
I think it's not day zero. You don't have to just change it.
I think that
You know what? Even better.
It will grease the wheels of people learning the game, which is good for us. That's another one of the. It's another one of the like. If we don't do this, more people will struggle with certain interactions.
I just changed it to TT, and here's why.
That's a different design.
It it is, but they are deeply related to each other. And what we're talking about is how I get information
Yeah,
at
fair
mouse
enough.
location. I think, especially because we both know the tooltip thing is like tough call, but not for right now, and we want to go in and do it right. I think we should roll this in while we're in there and go like, oh, like, are we getting a weird visual conflict when I change the mouse icon while I've got a tooltip? Like, having that all be in there in one pass
Sure.
that we knock out in like 1 week would be nice.
All right. Whoop. Yep. Okay. This stuff is juice.
Yep.
Juice means, for folks following along, visual, fun, graphic, feel good, but not hardcore gameplay rule stuff. When I click the mouse, not on the UI, a burst of dust appears.
I would leave this one in.
Game generally, I agree that the game generally would benefit from more juicy interactions.
I think it is a little low juice right now, even for early access, and the gains we've seen have been important. I don't know that we should have a mouse click sound effect anymore. I don't even know if we have a need for that. I like the
I
plot
like
one.
having other. I like having more contextual sounds play. Like when I collect, we get the pop pop pops. When I drop an item, a sound effect plays. So I agree that we can just cut this. I think
Murdered. Good.
this should probably be more specific tasks rather than that exact task.
Sweet. When the van drives off, kicks up dust particles. I think we should still do this. I think it's
yeah, and these are batched together because they both will need dust. When I buy something from a shop, a sound effect plays. This is definitely one of the missing sound effects.
Yep. I
I
have.
want to propose a couple more here.
I have an old school cash register. I need to record that. Cha-ching.
Yep.
Legit, like 100-year-old cash register. You do realize these things are listed under P1 right now. We're not moving stuff around yet. Doesn't matter. But
yeah. Yep. Here.
Yeah.
Nope. Fixed it the wrong way.
Yeah. We don't have a P1.
Okay. When I just thought of this one. When I drop an item on the van, a door slam sound effect plays. How do you feel about that?
Presuming we handle it in such a way that it doesn't do it 10 times when I drop a stack, I'm probably okay. I'll keep to it.
Right now, we get a sound effect when you drop an item on the grid, but we don't get one when you drop it into the van, which just feels off to me. So it's just missing.
Yep, but it needs to be different than the yard. Can't be the buckshot.
Can you think of any other spots where we need not slam effects, just
effects.
any effects?
Slam effects everywhere. No, not right
now. Okay. Tutorial highlight should look different than the hover highlight.
I think that's a P1.
Hey, look, our first P1.
Yeah, this is the
shader we use to call your attention to an item that you need to interact with, and it currently shares. That's currently shared when I just hover over anything, so that kind of gets in the way of directing people's attention.
When you scroll down at all, you'll see that we have more than one P1.
We have more than what?
One P1.
Yeah. First P1 to make it into the P1 bracket.
Indeed.
Escape closes the phone instead of opening the escape menu. Is that
Not fucking. I think pardon my
I was
French.
going to say, do we want that?
I think that was more a byproduct of when the phone was retaining its state, and it felt like for a while you really needed something.
No, I added this because I just kept pressing escape, expecting it to close the phone, and it didn't.
Kill it. Don't even not day zero it. Kill it.
Feel ignored.
No, it's the point here is that you yourself are like, do we still need this? It's not. Do we want to put it off? It's like, yeah, we may find out like week one when we've got 10 more people playing the games that they're all like, this really needs to be escape, or we may never hear a thing about it again. And the gains of not hearing a thing about it are pretty good.
If I hear anything about it, I'm doing it. But I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
When my cruft tally increases, it bumps a bit.
I think that's a 1.
This is more juice.
Let's discuss this one.
It might get busy if we're just bumping all over the place.
I think this
when
one.
does my craft tally increase?
I think
it increases when I sell items via the van, and it increases when I sell items with a shopkeeper. When I sell an item via the van, we get a nice sound effect.
Your craft tally? You were talking about something entirely different.
Oh, I'm thinking of the next one, but
yeah,
you're right.
So I think what this one needs to be is it doesn't bump, is that the craft tally increments rather than just updates. And at that point, if you want to put a swell on the count, that's fine. And I think it's a good time for it. But right now, if I make 38 craft in one operation, it just in one frame changes the total. And I think what you want to do is a PD controlled.
You want to lurk that, but I get what you mean. Yeah,
you want to lurk.
Like you want the value to
lurk,
increment one at a time up to the new value in an animated way.
Yep. And I would like the same for cash money. And if it makes sense while it's in the lerp state to like scale it up while you're in there, like go for it. And I think that's good.
Is that also P1 since they're related?
Yes.
Those definitely happen at the same time.
I want to kill the next one.
When the van drives off, particle output is representative of the van. This one?
No, not that.
I think this is done.
I think it is done. We do need to kill it because it's done.
Yeah.
Looking at 25.
When I unlock a feature, the items drop closer to the center of the plot.
A, unnecessary. B, no control over it. Right, that will shift items. Right now, it explicitly starts on the top left, and that allows me to keep things from jumping around. When you unlock a big field, it doesn't jump on the screen with the unlock. When you unlock a panning stream that is lined up with a pond, it doesn't jump around anywhere because I've set the thing up to drop stuff in a specific order, which is just how they're listed, and that is good for us.
Okay. Nuked. All right. This stuff.
Belly of the beast.
There's a lot here. Okay. Make the Discord button more inviting. I think this is important still. I think it's probably more like a P1 if we're going into early access.
I agree. I would make it a P0. Let's just get it done. It is relatively small. Get it behind us.
Move camera to the deeds when you get to that step. Okay. This is maybe not the best description, but this is it's what this really means is during eh, keyboard eh, keyboard during the tutorial, if the highlighted item is off camera, move the camera to the item. Right?
Yes. I
Like it's an edge case, but it's
I
also another way that someone could fall off the
I
back of the
I
bus.
know I get it. And I'm not refuting it. I do wonder if we need a separate item that at least puts an arrow at the edge of the screen when something is not there, though. So let me just ask you this: if we want to move the camera and the person like has the middle mouse button down, or like, is there conflicts with like WASD when it's saying to do something? It shouldn't. Like, it should be fine. If they do
I would
that,
have
they
to
might.
handle that.
I mean,
I would have
it's
to say, like in the camera code, like, is the tutorial trying to control the camera? Okay, ignore your middle mouse and WASD stuff.
I before even that, because they're not that it's not solvable, but there is danger in that too. As soon as you start doing who controls the camera at all, you open that up. My
Yeah, I
point
have
is,
to be sure to like clean the state when I'm done.
right. What I'm saying is that there's risk there in just doing it. That's not my point yet. My point is that it's not even that big a deal if someone's moving around and this thing doesn't go off. Like, that is not like a terminal problem either. It's like, if they are not moving around and this thing starts to eke over there, that's great. I'm saying at its most minimal, when that thing pops, the camera will start moving there. And yes, if I interrupt it, it's not going to land perfectly on it, but it is not like a toxic state in the same way a bug with camera control state would be. Like, this is
you're saying the possible side effects of this might be worse than this problem it solves.
No, what I'm asking is that there is no actual problem if someone interrupted this. It doesn't break anything.
No.
Yeah, so
I
would
can't
say
imagine how it would break anything.
So if we are not doing any of the additional stuff, I would say this is AP0. That is my point.
What do you mean additional stuff?
We're not saying that the camera now has or the game has control of the camera or whatever. Like, if we wanted to do that part, I would say do it after early access.
No, I think we're just doing the like, hey,
give it a scoot, give it a new target.
Scoot it if you can't see the thing we're trying to get you to do.
Yep.
And if in the middle of it scooting, I tap W and it stops, like, there you are. Bob's your uncle. No, nothing.
Bob remains your uncle.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
Log the unlocked achievements at level start.
Are we talking?
This is logging. This is like in the player log file down in the guts of our app data, making sure that when I start a new game, the log contains a record of what my unlocked achievements are.
Joe says informed, explicit decisions are always worth the time they take. Enjoying the exercise. Yeah, these moments are like the good ones, because a lot of this is we just have like a stream of consciousness, like for prio thread, man. I just end up dumping stuff in here. You get back to it and you're like, things have changed. What do we mean? Yeah. We sure?
I've spent some time like on different like game dev and indie sort of like Discord communities lately, and one of the huge, I think this kind of like lunch pail day in day out like development work is something that a lot of people are missing, because people are just freewheeling, doing random stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
prioritization and scoping are, when I run into people that are new at a job, is the biggest thing that requires some degree of coaching. In fact, like I'm doing advisement for this small company down in Brazil, and like these guys are seasoned but still like the prioritization and like understanding that the game is going to grow over time, like neither Will nor I, except where we explicitly delete something here, are saying it's not important, don't want to do it, any of that. It's like, is it mission critical for this release? And if so, how does it fight with every other thing you're going to try to do, which is a lot of things, um, because everything has a cost. You can't do everything.
Yeah, look at all this stuff.
So my question about logging unlocked
Yeah,
achievements at level start, is this the kind of thing where in the first pass this would be wise to do with something like Steam inventory so we could wield it? Nah, it's two different things. Going to like the player profile and that
this
other.
is just very simply like, oh, someone's having a problem in the game, and we've got to the point where they've shared their log file with us,
We know
and
their
I
Chivo
can
state.
see like, oh, you've got that Chivo that does X, Y, and Z. That helps me sort it out.
I,
It's not. This
I
is
would leave
not a
it. At,
grand feature. This is just our quality of life when it comes
I
to
would leave it
these
at P1.
aspects. All right. Raycast when you drop an item out of bounds to determine if you're on the van. I'm actually going to accomplish this somewhat differently, but I still believe in this in the solution of
What are you solving with this? We got to be verbose.
right now, when you drop an item outside the grid, it goes to the van. It doesn't matter if you're dropping it on the van. It's just you drag an item outside the play space and it goes to the containing location of your current spot. It works in the van too. If I'm in the van and I take an item and I drag it off into the forest and drop it, it ends up in my yard because that's the location that contains the van.
And what you're going to
Uh,
do differently is just is what you said. I'm going to do this differently, but I still want to do it.
yeah, instead of raycasting to figure out if I clicked on the van, it's going to be something more like van um, system van controller. I think there's a van controller. Van controller exposes whether the the player's mouse is over it, and when
Ah,
I drop an item, the item only goes to the van if the mouse is over it.
dope.
That's a little that's a little inversion of control for you. You want things to control their own logic rather than make other systems implement it. So systems for moving items around shouldn't need to
Can you hit enter,
implement
please?
van specific stuff. No, not yet. The item only goes to the van if the mouse is over it. Okay, now I can.
There we go. Solid. I think that's. I think it's P2. I think it's important, but
We've
far,
survived this far with the sort of janky behavior I
yeah,
put together.
I don't want to let it slide. Uh, it would be really really good to have this buttoned up before we start getting bugs from people that we don't know personally and can. Like a lot of the feedback we may get may be very short blurbs. I ain't on the Discord. I'm on the Steam discussion page, and it's like, WTF, can't do the thing.
This is this is probably even less time than an hour, but
Mhm.
uh, add unit tests for location overflow. Okay, so
This one's a little
if,
damning out of
if you
P3.
if you I know, well, yeah, because we just started the day with a great item overflow, stack overflow bug that locked up the game. I think one thing I hate about this is that like I put a like a actual task in here instead of just doing it as part of the work to make the location system. But here we are. I punted it for so long that location overflow is possibly perilous, and we would go into you know the world of having a live game with more confidence if there were tests for this stuff.
I'm going to let you pick a number because this is your expertise. In fact, I can't just let you pick a number because we're 50-50 partners. What I'm saying is I'm not going to pick a number because I've been saying one every time because it's
Well, we should have this. So if we're doing Moscow, it's a P1. This is like, especially without a QA team, this is important.
sweet. I couldn't agree more. From my position of naivete.
This counts as just hardening for launch. Save camera position when you change levels.
What?
Yeah. All right, so
What?
yeah, yep. When I position my camera perfectly and then go to the van
Oh, we send you back to like 0,
and
0?
then come back, I'm at max zoom 0, 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this would be nice to have, but it's a nice to have.
Put it at P3. I think it is experiential enough where we don't want to dismiss it out of hand for this release. There's a certain degree of like that would feel a lot better if it did it. And yep. I have just created, albeit difficult to get to and not finished, a level that is 60 by 60.
That's pretty big.
Like I'm threatening just how much of a convenience rather than necessity that
might be. Next, deed numbers are supposed to be colored based on whether you can afford them.
Yeah, deed's nuts.
This isn't even a new feature. This is a
fix
bug with what we have.
Yep, I say it's still P1. What do you think?
Yeah, I would call it a P2 if it weren't a bug.
Yeah, we don't know why it's not happening.
Like, there's an extra level of chaos here that I want to eradicate. This has got the tooltip category on it. Show me what recipe a station is working on.
I'm gonna make a tooltip section. That is the tooltip section.
Wanting this.
Yeah. The tooltip section is implied right now, unless we decide to move it in, is implied not day 0. It's just not day 0 with mad respects.
Not day 0 with a reason to be.
Yeah. I would leave it where it is.
We didn't do the hold design for the let's go button. I expect this to either persist or be deleted right now because
no, let's just kill it.
Yeah,
I have never once. I have gone through that flow 8 million times.
I'm ready to go when I click that button.
Let's roll.
Yeah. No regrets.
Wait. Probably the biggest thing we've got to decide is whether or not it is a day 0 thing to change the flow.
Oh shit! Yeah, we do have to do that.
Yeah,
that is definitely a day 0. Here's why I think it's maybe a 0 thing, because I don't want to get feedback on it when we know that what we have is broken.
You are going to get feedback on a lot of things that you know are broken. So I'm just going to put a couple.
I'm not gonna. I can't possibly argue that, but I don't. I want to minimize how many of those things we have here. Like,
hold on. Let's see.
Like this. We know that the flow.
Hold on. Just hold. Keep that thought. I have to write these things down. Realtor flow overhaul, and what was the second one? Oh, tutorialization of Realtor and Chivos. Those are all right. Now continue.
Also, does that include locking off the Realtor and Chivo apps until you're ready for them?
Yes.
Okay. we know that this flow is broken, and it doesn't. It's the snarky riddle that you don't have all the answers to. The game will feel better if we present that information to people in the order we know is correct. I think it's important. It's also one of those things that is a big enough refactor that it gets harder to change it as time goes on. Not like refactor, but we're reordering a bunch of stuff.
All right. So, I mean, basically, I just wrote down realtor flow overhaul and tutorialization of realtor achievements. Questions that need answering. Joe suggests we add won't do for the pry list instead of just deleting things. I am more in favor of deleting things and then having to add them back later when be damned. I've never personally gone back to won't do's. If something is won't do for this release, I'd rather just set it to not day zero. But I actually like straight up murdering line items that are in sheets like this.
We don't have like a lot of people wondering what the status of things are, right? Like we don't have somebody that we have to go and say like, oh no, look, we closed this as won't do 3 months ago. Like
I appreciate the value of having fewer lines more than the risk of losing something on a line. Like, I guess what I'm saying is like, do we need it now? Get rid of it. Like, I'm more saying I really don't want to do this, and I don't want to discuss it until it gets hot enough again, where it's like, all right, add it back in.
It's easy. Yeah, it's a lot easier to add it. Add something that crops up than it is to be like, oh, I think I have one for this. Where is it? I hate trying to find things in these lists.
See also our long-term roadmap where we had housing in the game in April. Like, yeah, cruft. I appreciate what you're saying. If it was more than two of us, I would absolutely do it. All right. So, in part, the tutorialization we have to do. We have to do. Like, we can't not teach people how to embark on the metagame. Can't not teach people that you actually leave with the crap in your van. So
yeah.
That is like P0. The flow overflow, and this is my big question, and we'll be taking another bio break in a second, is in part to solve what is a problem in the game, but is also a problem based on the fact that there's no tutorialization of even how to do it at all at present.
I don't see it that way. I thought it was because I don't know where I'm going, so I can't decide what to pack effectively.
It's true. I'm not saying that I am not diminishing its value. What I'm saying is that we are semi-effectively playing the game. A new player would absolutely want that information, but right now we do nothing to even tell you that you're like you can't get to the concept you're describing because we don't even tell you can do it
yet. Oh yeah, no, I'm not arguing that the realtor flow overhaul happens before tutorialization.
It might have to because we have to write a tutorial.
Yeah, now that I immediately
guess what? Bio break the second.
Yeah,
chew on that.
As soon as I said that out loud, I don't want to do a tutorial for a flow I'm going to redesign. I don't know. Now I think these are P0s for the most efficient. The most efficient solution here is to do both of these things still. And I know that he's not here. I'm just saying to the rest of you and to myself. What else is up here? Oh my God, there's so much. Who thinks we're going to get through all of this in like a half hour? guess it's maybe not that many. $23 items. You could probably do it if each item gets 2 minutes.
So I'll say this now.
No, they need less than 2 minutes. Okay. I've just I am proposing that they're both zeros.
I would say that I don't know that they're both P0s, but they are both blockers.
They've got the most efficient approach is to handle both of these at the same time, because I don't want to write a tutorial for a flow I'm going to redesign.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they gotta wherever they go together.
Fair enough.
And I think that
Yep.
and I think that the realtor tutorializing how you go from level to level is critical. It's the whole thing we spent the last however many weeks building. And we can't just like expect people to figure it out.
Yeah. You just put that in completed. Sweet. We're done.
No, that's
a
a misdrag.
Can you put that at the top of P0? I don't even think.
Yeah, sure.
Like this redefines, like this is like its own thing. Like
yeah. This is extra special too, because it's one of those things that we threw something up there quickly, learned through the help of our super generous testers that it was busted. So like,
it's a line item that is heavier.
Yeah. Yeah, it has more clout as a lot of this stuff is like, I think it would be cool, but this is like, no, we know it needs to happen.
I would not release.
It's not just known in our heads. It's known through empirical testing.
Yes. Which means we're gonna have to do some estimates on that at some point, like today.
We gotta break it down. This is big. I'll do like wild guess.
All right, let's
maybe like a day. This is more defined. The flow overhaul is actually more defined, and I actually think I need to do this first before we can tutorialize it.
Like, you know where it's going.
I know what to do.
You just got to get it there and have all the parts there so you can actually attach things to the tutorial and have objects in them and all that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
4 to 8 is code for. Got to break it down further.
Yep. All right.
Back to the item that jogged your memory on this topic. I think we agreed that we don't actually think that button is so perilous to accidentally press. Worst case scenario is you accidentally press it and then you load up your van and leave again.
My point is that it becomes way more necessary when you have not already left your yard and you're making this decision and you accidentally click it and lose all your chivos in the new flow and stuff in your van. It is way more important in the new flow where you can casually look at what new yards may have and investigate because you haven't left yet. In the current flow, you sign everything and now you're just picking something. In the current flow. In the new flow, you can go into the realtor, see where your next places will be, come back out of it, be like, oh, I do want to bring that press with me that is not available in farm to table. So I put it in my van. I go back into the realtor. I read the description again. Something tips me off that maybe I want to bring some gold with me. I'm back in the level again, putting gold in my van, making sure I have all my chivos. Then I go in there and I say, let's go.
Well,
if I accidentally click,
but I don't think the "Let's Go" button is actually what makes you go. I thought it was, I go into the I go into the Realtor app and I pick a yard, and then that brings up the checkboxes in the signature, and signing the signature is what makes you go.
If that's the case, if the final destination is a press and hold, then we're fine, and we don't need
Yeah,
it
I
to
think
be
it
let's go.
is. I think it must be,
Okay.
and it should
Okay.
be the signature.
It should be the
than,
signature rather than the
well,
let's
let's
go.
go.
All right, so
Yeah.
this one goes away, thank God.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, the transferred items don't pop out of the van. This is another one of those like. I thought it would do this, but for some reason it doesn't, and that makes me a little bit more uncomfortable than if this was just
do
I
you
hadn't done it.
do you have a delay on the van pulling up? The van doesn't even pull up.
No.
Yeah, which means there's no delay of any time. Then, if there's anything, any few frames of loading when you drop in, they're just gobbled up. That animation's gone.
You might be right.
They're going almost no. That the thing is, they're making almost no travel. What it should do is the van should pull in at the start, and when the van hits the back, then it should poop them out.
For sure. Either way, regardless of why it doesn't do this now, this task is to fix that, and it will look cooler, but it is not necessary to enjoy the game.
Correct. I think this is a not day zero, and I think I'm going to add a note to it that says van pulls in, then dumps the items I brought.
Yeah, that is just a cooler like little intro sequence. And regardless of why it's not working now, implementing that system will change how it dumps the items out anyways.
We can delete tooltips everywhere.
That has a whole category.
Yeah.
Save slots. Previously given not day zero. I don't think that's changed.
Correct. I agree.
Market and dump buttons resize based on highlight state. It looks crummy to me. Not necessary to play the game and enjoy it though.
Agreed.
I propose a 3.
No.
You propose a 0?
Propose a 0. I will ship the game with that in it. Like, short of you saying, I don't want to ship this game today because of that, and then us having a long, drawn-out discussion about sanity checks and Call of Cthulhu and things.
This one's a question. Should we wait to tell you to load Cruft into the van until it comes back?
You won't be able to load it until it gets back because the van won't be there. Which will have the natural flow will be. It'll say load the van with Cruft. The van won't be back yet. You'll do it. It'll fall back into your yard because it wasn't over the van, and then you'll do it again and you'll be fine.
So delete this.
Yeah.
Because we'll do that other thing I talked about.
Yep.
Nice. Pull the magnet out of the van. Retest. Discuss for clarity. I think this is from when you got the van. You got the magnet in the van by default for free.
That's right. Yep. We can get rid of it.
That's not true anymore, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Should we actually check what you bought for the tutorial rather than just checking that you opened the UI? That feels like a rhetorical question.
No, it's a technical one. It does feel like a rhetorical question. But that was the case where the tutorial moves forward regardless of if you bought the things.
Yeah. It would be a more ironclad tutorial to fix this.
Yep.
If we don't fix this, some amount of people will open the phone, click something else, maybe close the phone, and then be told to craft an item that they do not have the station for.
I don't care.
Why is that a don't care, but this is a P0?
I think what this one solves is a very specific case that we know is very likely the person's not going to see the thing that they need to do specific. They'll never be shown it. And
Yeah.
if they have not, we do not presently tutorialize WASDing around. Um, Plenty of people haven't done it on their own volition. Doesn't mean we won't tutorialize it. Literally, the last step of the tutorial, if you don't realize that you have to look somewhere you don't know about, then your host.
You reminded me that we should tutorialize WASD, zoom, and middle mouse drag.
Yeah, that's a that's part of the tutorial effort. It's a P0. I mean, it's either a P0 and we get it done in there, or we should do it. We should just do it.
We should definitely do it because
Yep.
we've already had cases where people who have played the game multiple times go,
Like,
what?
what?
You can move the camera? All right. I got distracted.
Should we actually check what you bought for the tutorial? And I say not day 0.
Okay. I think there's a whole like tutorial. There's just going to be a whole arc of like I revisit how the tutorial works. We expose a lot of it to like a data-driven system, and all that stuff would probably be best to.
I think we're going to capture a lot of this within a month after early access, very specifically based on a punch list of things people didn't get.
People
wrap it all in there and be like, now you get it.
Shader, the confetti cannon fodder. Oh, this is a dupe. Didn't we put something else in here, didn't we, for this?
Might have. I think it was not day 0, right? Or was it? Or was it? No, we worked on this in the last tab before we got here. I think we might have gotten into the maybe. I don't know.
I thought we brought it up though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's just literally just the one that we created, but I forgot the name. So, anyways, yeah. Here we go. It's these two. We not day 0'd them, and they're right here. Update tutorial and pop-up text. Confirm. I can confirm that this is done.
Yep. Delete.
Actually tutorial. Oh, hey.
Delete.
Actually. Station UI resizes based on size of. I fixed this. Get some.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you not put a note in for that?
I thought I did.
That's like the kind of thing I would have thrown like 3 emojis under. I must not have recognized what was going on.
Yeah, pretty sure that I fixed this.
All right.
You know what? Game's running right now.
It looks fixed. It looks deeply fixed. Yeah.
I remember that the workbench had this problem, and it doesn't have this problem anymore. Cool. So.
Cheers.
Fixed. Overall button resizing with highlights.
Yeah, the fact that
this is sort of the general version of my market dump item tutorial highlight those buttons problem.
Which I don't think actually happens everywhere.
I don't think it happens anywhere else.
Okay, kill it. If we see it, we'll scream about it.
Yeah, we see it. We put it
up. This goes away by virtue of the fact that you are still. No. It's no longer PNY screen.
It's the phone superimposed on your yard.
How do you spell this?
This is unnecessary with the new realtor flow in level. That's why I think we destroy this. I think someday we might want like a cooler little like cutscene-esque driving transition, but yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Not for day 0.
That's
This is the Stardew Valley intro thing that didn't come for much later.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is it-
wiggly
can-
UI across the
can-
board. What?
Can it be smaller? Okay.
Yeah, I just copy pasted. You could literally, so you could click on the thing above it and just hit the paint roller and just go boop.
Paint roller.
Oh, paint roller, which is right next to print, paint format. You basically select a frame, hit that, and then hit the new one, and it'll grab the
Oh,
formatting.
this?
Yeah, we're having a moment.
Oh my god. So it sources it from whatever you have selected?
Yep,
All right, cool.
amazing, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what probably.
Okay. All right, back to
Yeah, back to work.
work. We need to do a pass on Wiggly UI across the board. Low priority. I think we've fixed this
I
too.
think you're right.
Because you fixed the Chivos and I fixed the
Yep.
one other spot. Chivos and bumper stickers on the van.
Not day 0, but man, is that a good one?
Yeah, it is good. Pop-up windows are too tall. We fixed this.
Yeah.
Add tooltip. Oh, tooltip. You need to pop up when your yard is full and you try to unlock a thing that has a lot of yield or validation that they're. Oh, here it is. I was looking for this.
Yeah.
Did we end up getting duped on this now?
We don't need a pop-up for it. We need to allow you to open the thing.
Yeah,
The
I think we
pop-up.
can. I think we can kill this because we have a better task that covers this problem.
Yes.
If I mouse over a character portrait, a tooltip appears with their greeting text. Did we already do this one?
We did. I think we should also, just to like double verify this, I think we should not day 0 it because it hasn't been showing up and we may want to change a little bit. We've changed how characters work, that they are per level. And so we may want to go into the piping on this a little later and put a little characterization on them that is like per store that they have. Like, I don't even remember if each store does shop templates. Yeah, the stores don't have any. They have a player facing name that we could hack, but like, it may make sense for me to characterize what they are selling right now a little bit with some bonus text. Like how the characters perform is different from level to level, and even shop to shop to some extent. And while they're thematically the same, it may make sense for Otto to say something different when his Otto's bargain shop is up, as opposed to Otto's revenge.
So, in short, you're saying that we might not want the character scoped greeting text. We might want a shop specific text.
We might, yeah. That was a thank you very much for taking that taffy sentence and condensing it. I will put revisit ... is it shop based? Because I can always copy and paste the same text in like 40 different cells.
This might also depend on where, like, the context of the character portrait. Like, if am I on the home app?
Yeah, you're right. It might be very different if I'm picking levels and I want to mouse over. Karen's like, "Yo, dog, I don't sell shit today." Pardon my French. Like,
yeah,
maybe we'll revisit.
Yeah. When I start the game fresh, the top button is enabled and just says play, combined with the old continue button behavior, and then move the function. Oh no! So wait, this is another one that we like maybe double dipped on. Oh no! These are good. Yeah. All right. Did we already do these? Are these still 2s?
Yeah, they're still 2s.
Cool. I'm fine with that. Main Chivo icon displays Chivo description in the info tooltip when you mouse over it. Still 2?
Still 2.
I think we're done. I think we got it. I wasn't sure we would get through all of these, but we did.
We did.
And
We're okay.
These are zeros, right?
These are not day zeros.
I mean, these are still not day zeros.
Correct. There's one thing at the bottom of this.
List is empty. I know what this is. I know what you mean.
This is not a game made in someone's trailer park.
P3
up against the gun.
This is a how embarrassed are you by it? But because I definitely have.
This is misspelling Gandalf in Lord of the Rings online.
Is this not?
It looks stupid. It looks like the designer and the dev on this is like, guys, really? It's not showing information. It's showing a Unity generated string in a UI. We should have some semblance of control. This is the
text equivalent of missing textures. The big magenta square, if you've ever seen that. Okay, so is it a 1 or a 2? Because I don't think it's a 0.
I think it is.
We will live through embarrassment yet. It's just how important.
This is a flavor of embarrassment that it's not even about embarrassment. This is like we are not operating our own game. It is operating us.
We are not. This isn't Bush League game development.
I find this more important.
I think your argument is that this is damaging to our reputation to leave it in.
Yeah, and I also think it's more important than tutorializing WASD.
Where is tutorializing WASD?
It's a P0.
All right. So you wanted a P0?
I do want it a P0.
I don't care. Like this is pretty. This is probably not that much time.
We are paying a monthly fee that is not small to not have the Unity thing on the entry screen of the game. This is like on par with like, all right, we're making our own game.
Yeah. Look, I just want to know what order to do things ultimately, and this one doesn't cost a lot, so I don't feel like we need to.
Yeah.
It's weight.
Do we need to fan these out to get down to P3, or just not worry about it?
Fan these out to get down to P3. Yeah, you're saying like we have a bunch of 2s
and 1s and
0s, 3s. I mean, I guess maybe this is just like a what is a 3 if we don't have any.
No, because everything should be like the granularity. We don't want to go any further than P3 for granularity of prioritizing things, but by fanning them out, you're further saying that like this one is do these before these.
I mean, we should probably do just a full like sort pass. We should just sort it all, and if we want to redistribute the bottom X to 3, maybe that's good enough.
I don't think so. Because what that says is like, can we just say what we don't care about more? That's not like if we are. Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of what we would be doing by saying like, here's some 2s and we're going to move them to 3s, though.
Yes, in one spot. And what I'm saying is that once you have your list of P0s, P1s, P2s, P3s, it allows you to look at them within the context of the group and go, are we sure? Is this as important as these other things?
Sure, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I think I thought you were saying something else.
Nope. But what I mean by that is you go through the P0s and you line them all up, and then you look at the bottom of P0 and the top of P1, and you go, are we sure these are still in the right taxonomy?
Cool. I'm going to need another bio break. I know that we're almost down to the wire. I'll be quick.
Sweet. I'm going to do some funky math. with no screen showing. I'm not going to mess with. Leave the meeting up. Let's see here. Let's see how far away we are from making a game. I probably don't need to grandstand on principle. I think these are prioritized fine, actually. Certain point at which excessive granularity gets you nothing, and we don't actually have long lists, so there's that. Trust in the system. So all I'm doing is just off screen summing up our totals. I think when he gets back, we'll just run some quick estimates on stuff. Maybe we'll be done. Bacon Ibsen. Oh, that's pretty good. That's not bad. Spare ribs, doner, filet mignon tail, porchetta tenderloin, bergdoggen. What is a bergdoggen? Brisket and bergdoggen. Bergdoggen, kana. What is bergdoggen? Ham hock. Is it? Bergdoggen ham, blah blah blah. Oh, I am naturally looking up other things that are bacon Ibsen. Will, that thing I said we were going to do, scratch that. We don't need to fan them out. These are like reasonable lists. What we need to do is the remaining 9 minutes put some loose estimates on
things. Okay. Go. Let's see. I've got. I mean, this is the loosest estimate. This will probably be. We could probably spend some time breaking that down later. I mean, when I unlock a location feature, the newly acquired space needs to be available for those reward items. I think this is a little bit of work because I didn't just do it properly the first time, so there must have been a good reason. There must have been a good reason. Make the Discord button more, but this is actually relatively cheap, and I don't think there's any chaos to it. During the tutorial, if the highlighted item is off camera, move the camera to the item. There's going to be a little bit of control flow stuff of like trying to figure out when we're supposed to do this. There'll be some fun kind of screen, more camera orthographic size math.
You'll be in there.
And then moving it will be easy because we'll hijack the PD controller and say, no, you got to go here. So 1 or 2 hours, wild guess.
Mm-hmm.
Tutorialize WASD zoom middle mouse drag. And this is another like kind of big one. It's not 4 to 8, but it's probably 2 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
P1s. Do I still believe in what these numbers are? Highlight.
Have I lost faith?
What's that?
Have I lost faith?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen at all, am I?
Oh, that's a good question. You're not. Good save.
All right. Yeah, do I want to do I still believe these numbers thing? I don't think so. I want to get the blank ones in, and then later, if I want to get better estimates, I can look at it again. Okay. Log the unlocked achievements at level start. This is super fast. This is like less than 15 minutes. Unit test for location overflow. Adding tests after the fact is more expensive. This is more expensive than if I had just done it from the get-go. We're probably looking at 0.2. We're probably looking at 2 to 4 on this. Because what tends to happen is you have to write a bunch of boilerplate code to construct a fake version of the universe for the location system to work. Location is pretty central to the whole game, so that's going to be annoying. In fact, that bumps me up to 3 to 6. There's going to be riders onto it. Down to the P2s. When I start the game fresh, the top button is enabled, just says play. Probably will continue behavior. This stuff's not bad. This is view code. This is probably a pretty simple tweak to the existing menu controller code. Move the function to reset game to the bottom corner, make the button smaller, put a trash can icon on. Yeah, this is all pretty rote UI work.
Murder, She Wrote. Leave it as 0.56. Oh, you're finally supremely accurate on it.
I keep just accidentally grazing the 6 next to the 5. That's all those are.
I'm happy my keyboard's worked through this entire call.
Save camera position when you change levels. How am I going to do this? I think I'm just going to write it down in some amount of not saved but kept in memory location data.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just adding a property to a thing and checking it when we change locations. So like not that much time. Like
and theoretically, you
to add a property and check it, and then
theoretically you only need to do it for the yard.
That doesn't save me anything.
Oh yeah. You should just make it a property of the location. It should just be for
whenever you do it.
Whenever you come back, you come back. Yeah.
Special case in the yard makes it like more brittle, probably.
All right, so that's not bad. Like, if we sum these up on the high end, getting the P0 stuff in, which is tough stuff, like, 20 hours of work. P1s.
That's a week.
8 1/4. P2s, half a day of work. That last thing in there, whenever we pick it up. This is not bad. Like, looking down the barrel of this, not bad. And that's if things come in at the high end. So, so be it. We can make a call in the middle. Like, when we start getting into, like, P2s, it's like, well, we could just decide, take that half day back. There's a lot of flexibility to, like, make the call. We just got to be, I think, provided there's no crazy counter argument of it, like the P0s, we just start tomorrow.
I can get started on this, but I'm very quickly going to need some help with what the actual realtor Chivo script is.
Mm-hmm.
This also might involve a little bit of our first right now. Well, it's actually not Tim talking to you. Originally, we thought it would be Tim talking to you about making pizzas. And we just kind of said, maybe later, and put, disembodied text messages on your phone. But now you're going to be interacting with 2 different characters. You're interacting with Tim, and then later you're interacting with the realtor.
Maybe. We're not interacting with anyone now. For all we know.
That's true.
For all we know,
you're still getting disembodied texts telling you
what to do. The disembodied texts are going to be a little different when the phone is sideways and you're looking at properties, perhaps.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yep. I vote that um, when we get to that, like that realtor, are you sure that realtor flow overhaul is going to be an hour or two? Cross that bridge when we get to it. I think the
I
mashing of these
think
two.
I think what is actually happening is I'm taking a big chunk of stuff and swapping it with the other big
Yeah.
chunk of stuff,
Yep.
and then I'll have to like fix some crossed wires, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
right.
why I put 1 to 2 on it. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen tomorrow is that in our stand up, it'll be like, all right, here are the things laid out. Like, Z, can you scribble on this thing over here? And I'll be around anyway. And if we need to like
Yeah,
add crap, move crap, get a flow of it, it'll just rock.
it's time once again to eat the frog that is making tutorial content.
It's basically what it is. What's wild is that if we do this with the option to undo, 1, 2, 4, it's easy to remember. We'd be looking at 13 hours to 20 hours of work if we weren't redoing the tutorial.
I know.
It's life, man. Like tutorials. It's all good. We are looking down the barrel of being able to release. Like, realistically, depending on how some of these go, like, maybe we table Deep's work this Friday specifically if we're looking down the barrel and go like, oh, we're close. Like, maybe. But
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
I think every single thing can be like intermittently broken. But like for the purpose of early access, like if it was like, hey, either A, we do this, or B, like we don't, like I don't think it's that crazy. I'm gonna have stuff to do in here. Um like all I'm saying is like we've got this schedule is flexible enough where the P0 stuff is chunky and the rest of the stuff is very much tapas, which is good.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I definitely think that a lot of my morning time is going to be picking away at that 4 to 8, the tutorialization of Realtor and Chivos, and actually splitting it up. There's going to be a lot more conversation before I'm actually like writing anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I don't think. I mean, one thing I can say for certain is like this is not happening on Friday. I don't think we'll be close enough to be like shoot this other thing in the head. But
no. And then there'll be, you know, yeah. I mean, we might get the tutorial stuff done this week.
it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, but yeah, we're not going to be pushing builds this week.
Nope.
We might push a build.
No, we might be pushing a build this week
for folks to test, but not one that's going to be early access.
Yeah, we're not pushing early access. Not this week. We probably
this is enough stuff that we need to do another round of.
Yep.
Testing
1, 2, 3. I wouldn't be surprised if next week, the Tuesday, Wednesday, like full days were like a lot of play it, tweak this thing, fix that, play it. Do we care as much as we thought we did last week?
Yeah, all of the like, oh, this Chivo's not possible stuff isn't like captured here at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
All right.
Absolutely within striking distance. Unofficial release date is sometime probably next week.
It's been a long time since I had just a potpourri list of polish / things I punted previously list to work on. So it'll be good.
Indeed. Well, that wraps us up for the day. I feel good about this one. We've got stuff codified. Obviously, things can pop up last minute, but it's a relatively simple game. Pretty simple what we're trying to accomplish here. It is going to be, day 0 of early access with no marketing, no hullabaloo. It's like put this thing out there and start getting people in and checking it out. One of the things that didn't come up in this meeting that I have to do over the top of all this is redo all of our marketing materials, which is all the stuff in the store, new stuff for an early access release.
Yeah.
I gotta pre-cook some PR stuff to send to some places. God forbid someone actually does pick us up. I got a blog at some point. There's things.
I think I'm not blogging until next week. So yeah.
You'll be in the thick of it. You'll be on the precipice. Folks, I want to thank everyone for hanging out, helping us work through all this stuff. It's certainly fun. It's nice when things get put in proper color order, and it's exciting. Like, you know, we're pretty close to getting this thing into players' hands at large, and it's always terrifying to me. I kind of like it. It's fun having you along for the ride. So we will see you next time, which will be Thursday. At that point, you know, we may be playtesting a whole new flow of the tutorial and being like, oh wow, okay, now we're just knocking stuff out.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.